Well, good evening, everyone. This is part of our career exploration, and we're going to highlight SpaceX, Space Command, NASA, as well as DARPA, and the United States Air Force as career path opportunities within the aerospace industry. What I'm going to do is share my screen, and we are going to get started. This is part of the College and Career Ministry Exploration Affair. Aerospace Industries. It's going to, like I said, feature NASA, DARPA, SpaceX, United States Air Force, and Space Command. It's brought to you by yours truly, Reverend Dr. Rick Faison. I am a United States Air Force veteran, Pennsylvania Air National Guard, and the NASA Space Academy for Educators graduate. Let's kick it off with SpaceX.
3, 2, 1, 0. Have liftoff of the Falcon 9.
This is not a normal internship.
It's definitely one of the fastest paced, most interesting places I've ever worked at.
Dragon is in orbit.
The hands-on experience that I've gotten here has been phenomenal.
I love it here. This is probably the coolest place to work.
Hi, I'm Julie Wong, and I'm an intern with avionics. Right now, I'm working on a receiver for the Dragon, and in order to navigate, Dragon communicates with TDRS, which is a set of satellites that NASA sent up. Specifically, I'm working on the receiver that goes on Dragon that will link up to those satellites, figure out where the capsule is in space, and then navigate.
My name is David Larson, and I'm in the structures department here at SpaceX. SpaceX is pretty awesome. It's an incredible place to work. You get to do things that you don't get to do anywhere else, and as an intern, you get to work on it. You don't have to be a full-time engineer to work on technologies and projects that are pushing the boundaries of spaceflight.
Hi, my name is Joshua Mann, and I work in propulsion. I have computer programming tasks, which pretty much is how we determine whether or not our engines are operating to the right specifications. So I'll do a lot of analysis on the different devices that you'll use to test them and make sure that they're running in the correct fashion.
Hi, my name is Brendan Hardy. I work with ground support equipment engineering in McGregor, Texas. We're really more hands-on, get-it-done sort of team. I've learned a ton, especially what we do in ground support equipment. I could take what I've learned and I could go to an oil field, I could go to another aerospace industry, I could go pretty much anywhere with all the stuff that I've learned.
I'm Jeff Elenoff. I'm a test engineer focusing on Dragon development. I get to come to work and play with spaceships all day. And what person wouldn't want that? When an engine test happens, it's the most incredible thing you could possibly think of.
Hi, my name's Katina Mangley, and I'm a launch intern at Vandenberg. I work with all the electrical GSE, and it's basically command and control of the site. So it's a lot of sensor reading and valve control. I have learned a ton about actual hands-on things that I didn't get from my schooling. And also working with technicians. I work with technicians every day. My view every day driving into work is the ocean, and it's a little overcast right now, but it's usually sunny and it's a beautiful view.
Hello, my name is Tejas Parekh, and I am a launch intern at Cape Canaveral. Working at a launch pad is crazy. There's so many different aspects to it, and you get to do absolutely everything here. So I get to fulfill roles as a design engineer working at my desk with modeling and analysis. And then the next day I'll work as a build engineer, ordering materials and sending drawings to technicians. I'd recommend this location to anybody, especially due to the fact that you get to act as an operations engineer and actually launch a rocket.
SpaceX is a great place for interns to find full-time jobs. And by the end of my internship, I knew all of these processes and the approaches that SpaceX took to manufacturing. So by the end of it, I could really kind of take whatever composite assembly was thrown at me and kind of bring it to life here in the factory.
Mentors here are infinite. You have your starting out mentor for your engineering internship in your group or department, and they will definitely feed down the requirements that are expected of you. But as you step out into that work floor and start getting your hands dirty, you have everyone from recent grads all the way to 30 or 40-year veterans. Overall, the SpaceX internship program is certainly a great training regimen for full-time work here or anywhere else in your engineering career.
The benefits of being here at SpaceX: free frozen yogurt.
We have bonfires at the beach.
I'm really looking forward to the Aero-Space games.
So last year during my first internship, I think on about the second day, I had decided that I for sure want to work here.
Coming from an engineering standpoint, it's kind of the mecca of like places you can work and where to get experience.
I think that SpaceX prepares us immensely well for a full-time job. I think that this has probably been one of the most challenging academic and also life experiences that I've ever had.
It's been an absolutely incredible experience. I've learned more than I could possibly learn anywhere else, and the people I've met and the things I've seen have just been incredible.
It's nice to have a large group of other interns that are here to hang out with, to go do things with. I've made friends last summer, this summer that I'll probably keep for the rest of my life.
SpaceX is awesome. And if you're in engineering and you love rockets and you just are passionate about what you do, this is definitely the place to be.
You probably want to take a screenshot of that SpaceX.com careers, and that's how you can get in contact with them to learn more about information on their internship. Let's take a look at one of my favorites, which is Space Command.
Sir, debris heading toward our comm satellite. Impact may cut off communications with ground forces.
Launch avoidance maneuver. "20 kilometers and closing."
Collision averted, sir. All objects are accounted for.
Good job.
Learn more at airforce.com.
If you love satellites, even cybersecurity, and you want to be a space cadet, Space Command is where you really want to be. It's expanding, and they need people more than ever now. But how about an holistic career?
I did not know that I did not have to be a pilot to fly in the Air Force.
I thought it was just like the pilot, their co-pilots and navigators, but thankfully I was wrong. Being a career enlisted aviator gives you a slew of opportunities. I'm an airborne mission system specialist.
I'm an airborne ISR operator.
I am an Air Force loadmaster.
I'm an E3 AWACS flight engineer.
I'm a special missions aviator.
I'm an in-flight refueling specialist.
I'm a sensor operator on a remotely piloted aircraft.
And I'm a flight attendant in the United States Air Force.
There are some planes that only have pilots, but the majority of the planes in the Air Force are crews. So it can be everyone from a loadmaster to those of us that work on mission aircraft, our intelligence collectors, to electronic warfare crew, to navigators, to flight attendants. We're all working as a crew.
So the Air Force needs in-flight refueling in order to extend how long other aircraft can remain on station, keeping them aloft to get them from point A to point B without having to land and refuel.
The thing I love most about rescue is the fact that I think it's the most noble mission out there. When you bring back someone from the battlefield that's been injured and bring them back safely and get them home to their family, their loved ones.
So there is a lot of responsibility placed on the flight engineer. You are actually a human computer because everybody expects the flight engineer to know everything about the aircraft.
We are the eyes in the sky that are providing tactically relevant information to the operators on the ground, keeping them safe, letting them know who's out there, who's watching them, what's going on.
In the C-17, I've loaded anything from personnel to jumps out the back, tanks and helicopters, Humvees, MRAPs, almost any sort of vehicle you can load in here.
The main mission of the E-4B is to provide a survivable mobile command center in the sky. Flying on board such a unique weapon system is definitely a big point of pride for me.
My favorite part about being a flight attendant is traveling the world and serving some of the most important people of the United States government. Some of the people we can serve could be the Secretary of Defense, the Vice President, or other distinguished visitors.
Flying is why I joined the Air Force. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it. It's the reason why I wake up and put the uniform on.
It's a best seat in the house, basically. It's a front row seat to see everything.
The reason I became a flight engineer is because I didn't want to just work on the outside of the airframe, I wanted to fly in it. And that's my plane right there.
When I get to look back on my flying days in the Air Force when I'm old and gray, will definitely be very fond memories.
I feel like I have the best job in the United States Air Force.
So as you can see, you don't have to be a pilot, co-pilot, navigator, bombardier. You can have a career as an enlisted aviator. Come join the Air Force and earn your wings. Let's look at NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
For the past 50 years, NASA's Johnson Space Center has been hiring students from universities for their renowned internships and cooperative education programs. They are given the opportunity of a lifetime to work side by side with NASA employees on real human spaceflight projects by putting the knowledge gained from the classroom to use in real-world applications. This is just a portion of the co-op experience and what you can expect when you become a part of it.
As you can see, there's a bright future in NASA. NASA not only has positions as astronauts, but engineers. And all of these different aspects that you've seen, whether it was SpaceX, whether it was Space Command, whether it was as an enlisted career aviator, there are opportunities for people of color all across the board to participate and have your dreams fulfilled. Let's take a look at DARPA.
Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, abbreviated DARPA, or the Office of Advanced Research Projects of the United States Department of Defense, was established in 1958, almost immediately after the launch of the USSR's Sputnik 1. The realization that the Soviets were about to launch not only satellites, but also missiles into space encouraged the United States government to take notice. The result was the creation of a unique agency with a huge budget, which could be spent at its own discretion. Check out our selection of the most unexpected, strange, and advanced projects in the field of technology and artificial intelligence from DARPA in this one video. DARPA's mission is to create innovative defense technologies. The agency's projects range from space-based missile shields to cyborg insects. At the same time, the internet, the first computer mouse, GPS, robot vacuum cleaners, and, for example, Siri were created. The uniqueness of DARPA is that by investing in the project, it does not seek to take a share in the capital, but only stimulate the development of technology and looks to where it will lead us. The first significant success of the agency was ARPANET, which laid the foundation of modern internet. In 1969, with the help of this computer network, the first message was transferred between computers in California and Stanford universities. Although then, only 2 of the 5 letters of the message managed to transfer. But on January 1st of 1983, the network became the first in the world to switch to data packet routing. As a routed protocol was developed by order of DARPA, the IP protocol, which is still basic for data transmission on the internet today. In 1964, Charles Rosen, head of the Stanford Research Institute Artificial Intelligence Center, proposed the creation of an intelligent automatic machine for the Advanced Research Department. The grant was approved, and it was assumed that the developed robot would be able to work as a scout or a patrol officer. This is how the Shaky robot came into being. According to the description, it could recognize its own environment, derive implicit facts from explicit ones, create plans, and recover from mistakes in a planned execution, and also understand orders written in plain English. The robot was equipped with video cameras, collision sensors, and a rangefinder. Communication with the control computer was carried out via radio. Shaky software architecture, computer vision, navigation, and planning techniques proved to be fundamental to robotics and web server development, video game creation, and Mars rovers. Autonomous robots, like self-driving vehicles, were one of the first and main goals of DARPA. To stimulate their development, the agency launched the Strategic Computing Initiative in the 1980s and allocated billions of dollars to it. The goal was to develop artificial intelligence techniques in multiple fields. Among the results, there are first autonomous cars and the first quadruple-legged walking robot by Boston Dynamics. Modern unmanned vehicles date back to a series of robotic races, which DARPA sponsored in the early 2000s to stimulate the development of this technology. And in 2004, out of all the applicants for the prize of $1 million, only one managed to pass a modest 12 kilometers of the planned 240-kilometer race. Later in 2005, the entire distance was able to be covered by 5 cars at once. In 2007, DARPA held another race, but this time with a prize of $2 million. The self-driving cars had to drive through the city, observing rules of the road, and interacting with each other at intersections. It was DARPA that sponsored the development of the first 4 Boston Dynamics Big Dog robots, presented in 2005. The robot, measuring 91 by 76 centimeters and weighing 110 kilograms, was able to move at speeds of 6.5 kilometers per hour and carry a load of 150 kilograms, as well as climbing a mountain with a slope at a 35-degree angle. The project cost DARPA $42 million, but was eventually closed because the robot was incredibly noisy. Nevertheless, Big Dog became the basis for the creation of both the Robot Spot and the Atlas robot. By the way, the robot was not the last development of Boston Dynamics for DARPA. All of the robots of the company, including those created for military purposes, we showed previously in a video. A link to that is now in the card above. Very unusual developments were and are among the agency's projects. For example, the Energy Autonomous Tactical Robot Program was aimed at creating robots that could feed on plants to independently replenish energy right where they would need to be working. Or the Engineering Living Materials Program, aimed at creating self-heating building materials with the development of 3D printing of organs and tissues. DARPA hopes to use similar technology to create hybrid materials that can form and support the growth of artificially created cells. These materials are able to be grown locally using already available resources. The Hybrid Insect Micro-Electro-Mechanical Systems Spy Beetle project in 2006 looked crazy. In 2009, the engineers even presented a prototype transmitter for cyborg insects. But judging by the fact that in 2018, the agency announced the beginning of the development of miniature robots to manage insects in the right quantities did not work. The new program Shrimp for short-ranged independent micro-robotic platforms, and the robots developed within it will be related to the smallest types of these mechanisms, just the size of insects. The robots will be fast and maneuverable enough to jump, fly, and lift objects and perform terrain analysis. And these will not be the only bio-inspired robots from DARPA. Recently, the agency announced that next year it will present a completely finished robot worm, which will be able to tunnel at speeds of 10 centimeters per second. For the Project Underminer project, $2.5 million has already been allocated. The tunnels will be needed to quickly create tactical paths when fighting in cities and megacities. One of the important projects of DARPA was the Systems-Based Neurotechnology for Emerging Therapies program, designed to create implantation, diagnostic, and therapeutic closed-cycle systems for the treatment of psychoneurological diseases. Essentially, the program wants to create a brain implant that will help soldiers fight post-traumatic stress disorder and other problems. Interestingly enough, when DARPA began working on the neurointerfaces, it said it would create a chip that would allow the military to control combat robots and drones with only the power of thought. One way or another, the work on the brain chip continues. Another key area of DARPA's project is the creation of robotic pilots and artificial intelligence capable of controlling aircrafts and helicopters, including combat ones. Thus, at the end of the year, the final test of the Alias technology on Sikorsky UH-60M Black Hawk helicopters are able to be held. The test program will have remote and autonomous missions. Alias systems consist of a robotic pilot, voice interface, and software. In order to install Alias on any Black Hawk from the U.S. Army's fleet, only LiDAR and cameras are needed. The Artificial Intelligence Training System, which in the future will be able to take control of a combat aircraft and conduct close air combat maneuvers developed by DARPA, is called the Air Combat Evolution. It was for its development that the recent neural network algorithms were tested with the Virtual Air Combat Alpha Dogfight trials. Remember, in the course of these, artificial intelligence managed to defeat a professional pilot of the U.S. Air Force with a crushing score of 5-0. The new neural network systems will have to control the fighter and flight faster and more efficiently than a man is capable of doing. It will be tested on a real plane in 2024. The preparation of the fighter for this event has already begun. Autonomous vehicle technology is of interest to DARPA, not only in the air but also on water. Just the other day, the agency announced it was ready to conclude contracts for supply of long-range uncrewed ships in 3 private companies within the framework of the Sea Train program. The goal is to overcome the range limit for sea drones by reducing wave resistance. After overcoming the necessary distance, the drones will separate to perform their tasks and on the way back, form back into a train. Also, at the expense of drones, the U.S. intends to soon increase the number of its fleets to 355 ships. This was recently announced by the U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper. He also reported on the demonstration of a prototype underwater drone Echo Voyager from Boeing and the Sea Hunter surface vehicle developed by DARPA. Apparently, they will join the ranks of the United States Navy. Another global goal of DARPA is the creation of swarm intelligence. That is the use of groups of robots to perform complex tasks. As a part of this project, researchers from Buffalo University recently received more than $300,000 to study the brain impulses and eye movements of gamers. The goal of this is to improve the organization and strategy of the autonomous air and ground robots through a new training method. These robots will be trained by an algorithm that should process the information collected by scientists, and it will help understand how gamers operate in some of the unexpected situations, what they pay attention to, and how they operate, and what these actions lead to. The research of robots is conducted by DARPA in 2 other directions. The first is the Offset Project, the development of software that will combine various ground robots and unmanned aircrafts into one group. The robots in the group must be able to solve 1 or more tasks together using more than 100 tactical options. The second direction is the Squad X project. It involves the introduction of drones, robots, and sensors on the battlefield to maximize a soldier's awareness of their current situation as well as other tasks. DARPA has already tested the program through a week-long exercise, during which United States Marines used drones and robots to coordinate their movements and detect potential threats in the field. The information from the sensors was processed by artificial intelligence systems and only then passed on to the military. This is probably how battle scenarios of the future are going to look. It's impossible not to mention that thanks to DARPA, the whole world was able to enjoy a spectacle of human-like robot races at the DARPA Robotics Challenge. Videos of the epic robot fails of various designs quickly became a hit on YouTube. And although it was very funny, we shouldn't forget to thank these types of events. Robotics are developing, and today we can see the results of this with smart robots like Atlas. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this video with friends. And definitely do not miss any new releases from Pro Robots.
So if robotics is your thing, along with other intellectual properties consumed and concerned with artificial intelligence, a career at DARPA awaits you. We want you to consider that your career path along those lines with the various agencies that we've talked about today, SpaceX, Space Command, enlisted aviator careers, NASA and DARPA. You also have opportunities. Go to college, get a specific degree, go VOTech. Tremendous need for carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, etc. Entrepreneurs, some of you are geared towards running your own business. Not to mention, there's still the military. Besides the Air Force, of course, which I'm biased towards, is the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, as well as opportunities within private industry. So the question obviously is, well, how do I get there? Well, first, we want to encourage you to seek the Lord through prayer to find out His choice for your career path. And it's really the most important place to start. He made you, He formed you, He sequenced your DNA so that you have gifts and abilities in certain areas. You want to develop a skills tree, a tree that's going to list all the different skill sets that you're actually good at. Next, you want to identify what moves your soul, what fires you up, what you have passion for. You want to identify those areas of passion, and from the data, from the input, from those different aspects of your tree, produce an action plan. Your action plan should have clear-cut goals. Your action plan should have how you're going to deal with temptation, no matter which path the Lord leads you down. You need to have a temptation plan that when scenario A, B, or C arises, you have a plan of action to thwart it and overcome it. There needs to be an academic load plan. Work closely with your counselors and mentors if you're in a collegiate environment, so as not to overload yourself with too big of an academic load, especially in your freshman year. Your objectives should be attainable. You can see them in your mind based upon the vision that God has given you. You can obtain these goals through a sequential action plan. You want to have a reasonable timeline for achievement. Talk with somebody who's experienced in the area that you want to go in, that you want to pursue, and find out how much time it's going to take to get there. And we cannot emphasize enough, mentoring and networking are going to be crucial to your success. So, be a high achiever. Set your standards high. As the youth of our culture would say, don't be mid. Mediocrity, being average, is unacceptable. Aim high and never, ever give up on the dreams that God Himself has placed in your heart. I would encourage you to take a screenshot. This is the contact information for the NASA, Air Force, SpaceX, and DARPA. Also, we would encourage you to like and subscribe at my YouTube channel, where there are tons of videos that are available for your edification in the number of scientific fields. So we want to thank you for being with us tonight. It's been our pleasure to share a few of these things with you. And we pray that you'll take advantage of them and be excited about careers in the aerospace industry. God bless and take care.